Like, we get rebounds, we get stops, we got to push it. On makes, we got to push it, get it up quick, and attack early. You know, we can't just. Sorry. Oh, no. I mean, we just can't just walk around offensively.
Is it too far to say he's being, like, almost too polite?
Yes, he is.
I mean, do you want to expand on that? Just sort of.
He's being too polite. What you want me to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's being too polite.
That's about as confrontational as you hear Ty Lue get. Now, the Clippers have been outscored by 67 points in just 125 minutes over 4 games with James Harden on the floor this season. That's by far the worst on the Clippers. So, Ramona, there's been plenty of times on the show, 5 straight losses for the Clippers. We have been slicing up blame pie. Food analogies continue.
I know, Perk's like, somehow it's going to be a waffle pie.
If you are slicing that up today, how big of a slice are you giving to James Harden?
Look, they were playing well before he got there, and they've played pretty poorly since he has. And I think some of it, you know, and when I asked Ty Lue that at the end of the game, like, is he being too polite? Is that what you were trying to say? The reason that needed clarification is because him saying that, James being too polite, he's being too deferential, that's kind of everything, right? And we saw the same thing happen when Russell Westbrook joined the team. They didn't get off to the greatest start also. It's hard to work in a new superstar. But I ended up talking to James Harden after the game, walked out afterwards, and I said, you know, what do you think of what Ty said? Are you being too polite? And he goes, well, that's going to stop. Like, I'm going to be different. And Ty Lue has basically said, we're running the offense through you. This is your show. I mean, his quote at the introductory press conference, you know, I'm not in a system, I am the system. Ty Lue has basically said, go be the system. But it is not that easy to revolve around a new sun. Okay, this is a team that has had Paul George as the point guard, has had Russell Westbrook as a point guard. Now James Harden is the point guard. They want him to be aggressive. They want him to be the center of the universe. But everybody else has got to figure out where they get in.
Right.
We're talking about politeness, rudeness. Everyone's laughing because Ty Lue accidentally swore.
Oh, several times.
All that stuff is cute. The thing he said that actually mattered was we can't walk around on offense. That's the whole thing. The moment they traded for James Harden and put everyone in these roles, and everyone's talking about, I'm willing to sacrifice, I'm the system, I can do this, I can do that, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win. What it takes to win now that they have these 4 guys together is you got to work together, you got to cut hard, you got to screen hard, you got to actually do these things. And they're going station to station, walking around, and they're not going to win until that changes. And I have a proposal. Would you like to hear my proposal?
Say it.
I'm always a little afraid.
Say it.
I think James Harden should come off the bench. I think James Harden should be the Los Angeles Clippers' 6th man, at least temporarily, because with all 4 of them together, it's not working. With Russ, PG, and Kawhi together, it looks actually pretty good. Let James Harden come off the bench, bring Zubats back with him so they can run pick and roll with shooting around them. Maybe you catch a rhythm this way and you can revisit it down the road whether you want to start him or not. But everyone's talking about Russ for Terrence Mann as the substitution. Maybe it's James Harden for Terrence Mann. Just an idea. I'm throwing out free ideas.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Chicken, waffles, gravy, all my ideas. Get them out there.
What do you think of that, Perk?
And when you go and buy chicken and waffles, you got to bring in receipts. And that's the great thing I love about the NBA today. You got to bring in receipts. I got some. Y'all remember this day in New York? Zach, Malika?
Ty Lue, if I'm you, I bring James Harden in off the bench. I'm not bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench. So that means that James Harden has to be the one to sacrifice.
All right, Perk. So you're agreeing with Zach. You think that he should come off the bench.
Yes, he should. And Zach is right. Listen, the Clippers had a good thing going before James Harden got there. And it's almost like when I think of James Harden, I think of that one family member that used to come to the barbecue or used to come to the family reunion that nobody really wanted to come, but that nobody wanted to come, but you still had to give them the invite, and they always was going to come and ruin the moment. You knew they was going to ruin it, but you had to give them the invite. And that's what happened with the Clippers right now. So absolutely, I'm with Zach on this one. James Harden should be the one to be sacrificing because, again, you shouldn't punish Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has been amazing since he was traded to the Clippers last season. He was amazing in the postseason.
Okay.
Russell Westbrook saved his career and saved that locker room when it come down to him wearing a Clippers uniform.
So
James should come off the bench.
He's come off the bench once since leaving Oklahoma City, just so we're all aware. Go ahead, Ross.
Okay, I'm just trying to think if I have a food analogy to throw into the.
You know what? I don't know. I'm full.
Okay, right.
Thanksgiving.
I mean, okay, so I agree with a bunch of things being said here. I think first and foremost, the Clippers do have some real issues with spacing, with pace, with rotations to figure out. Full stop. But I do think Ty Lue is a great coach. Those are great players. I think they've more than earned some grace period here as they figure it out. And to Zach's earlier point, something that can expedite the process or at least make up for some of those issues is if they played with some more passion. You know, coach says they can't be walking around. You can't start the game down 13 against the Grizzlies or all the turnovers they had or inefficiencies. That play that we showed in the highlight and went crazy over of Marcus Smart diving onto the floor, putting his body there, and then coming up with that crazy save and assist. It actually ended the Clippers' comeback and saved the game for the Grizzlies. And I thought, when I was watching the game, I thought, woof. Like, that is the effort. That is the effort that I think the Clippers need to be putting into making this work. That's the kind of work they need to be putting in to put some urgency to it. And they needed that Grizzlies game. They got the Nuggets tomorrow.
Yeah.
They needed it.
I think it's just a matter of getting a little smarter and a little bit more organized on how we're creating good shots and trusting that, you know, we have the ability to do that with our rotations and the combinations that we put out there. So it does feel like everything's kind of tough to come by in terms of creating good looks, but that's not something that we feel like is unfixable.
So this made me freeze, for lack of a better term. Steph, he needs some help. Look at this. None of his Warriors teammates have scored more than 20 points in any game this season. 124 players, that's right, Ramona, across the rest of the league, they have scored over 20
Not Klay Thompson?
No. Darius Saric had 20 at one point that I can remember, but not more than 20. That means, look at this, over 4 guys per team. That's what that shakes out to be, if my math is correct. Perk. Is it just the overall lack of firepower from anyone else outside of Steph? Is that the reason that they're struggling? What's going on?
You know what? I watched that game from start to finish last night, and we were talking about the Clippers and chemistry issues. I never thought I would be saying that about the Golden State Warriors, but here I am. I'm watching bad body language. I'm watching bad basketball. I'm watching guys moping. Every time Klay misses a shot, I'm watching him hang his head. Andrew Wiggins don't even look interested in the game of basketball right now. Draymond Green is trying to talk his way into things, but these young boys are not going for that. CP3 seems like he's trying to find his way, and everything looks dysfunctional. And for the first time, I really could sit here and say, it seems like the Warriors have chemistry problems for us from the outside looking in. Maybe it's Bob Myers coming to join the network and leaving them. I don't know, but I'm happy to have Bob here. I'm just saying, it seems like some issues there.
I'm wondering, Ramona, we talked earlier about this whole Chris Paul coming off of the bench thing, right? And we sort of said the feeling around the Warriors was as long as it's working, as long as they are winning, Chris Paul is willing to make those sacrifices. But that magic that we saw a little bit early on in the season, it's clearly start to run out. Is it still working?
No. I mean, look, he's coming off the bench, and the whole talk in the offseason was we have 6 starters, and somebody's always going to be hurt, so Chris Paul's going to start.
And in the Celtics, 6 starters.
That's not happening. Right. Like, he's moved to the bench permanently. That's his role now. Darius Saric is starting in this game. And Steph Curry, you heard what he said. It seems like it's a little hard to create open looks, good looks for ourselves. You know who could help with that? Chris Paul. Like, I understand that they have issues with size. I mean, you're playing the Timberwolves. It's hard to trot out guys with the small lineup. But it's a little like the Olympic team. Like, Steve Kerr had the Olympic team, and that's what they struggled with as well. Chris Paul, obviously, they got smaller when they put him in the starting lineup. But they're not creating shots. Steph Curry's working way too hard, and Chris Paul can help with it.